Let us bypass the comfortable illusions of modern religion. Let us step away from the brightly lit stages, the fog machines, and the prosperity doctrines that sell God as a cosmic vending machine. Let us speak of the things that are whispered in the dark corridors of the soul, in the midnight hours of tears, in the moments when you are entirely convinced that you are doing everything right, yet your life is falling completely apart. Look at your life right now. Look at the invisible battles you fight every single day. Why does it feel like everywhere you go, tension follows you like a shadow? Why do certain people intensely dislike you before you even speak your name? Why do lifelong friendships suddenly collapse into dust for no logical reason? Why does it seem that the moment you surrender to God, the friction with the physical world multiplies exponentially? You have likely sat in the dark, clutching your head, and asked yourself, am I cursed? Am I broken? Am I just fundamentally hard to love? Hear me, and hear me well. You are not unlucky. You are not cursed. You are not too sensitive. You are called. We have been sold a dangerous lie. We have been taught that spiritual favor looks like a life of uninterrupted comfort, open doors, wealth, and universal applause. But read the ancient texts. Read the history of the prophets, the martyrs, and the mystics of the desert. The moment the oil touches your head, a target is painted on your back. The ancient Hebrew word for anointing is the Greek equivalent is Chrio, from which we get the word Christosta, anointed one. It means to smear, to rub with oil. But to get the oil, the olive must be villainly crushed. Do you know what the word Gethsemane literally translates to in Aramaic? It means the oil press. Before Jesus could win the victory of the cross, he had to be crushed in the garden, sweating drops of blood under the weight of the press. Tonight, we are going to explore the psychology, the history, and the spiritual physics of the anointed life. We will uncover the 5 brutal, disruptive truths about being chosen by God. This is not a message to terrify you. It is a spiritual diagnosis to liberate you. Because the weight you are currently carrying is not a punishment. It is proof. Truth 1. Your presence exposes hidden darkness. Here is the first agonizing reality of the anointing. You do not even have to do anything to make people furious. You don't have to preach at them. You don't have to correct their theology. You just walk into the room, and the atmospheric pressure shifts. Conversations abruptly die. Eye contact is avoided. You can feel an invisible, vibrating hostility, and you stand there thinking, I didn't even say a word. Exactly. You didn't have to. In the Gospel of John, chapter 3, Jesus states a terrifying psychological truth. Light has come into the world, but people loved darkness instead of light because their deeds were evil. Everyone who does evil hates the light and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. Notice the mechanics of this ancient law. Light does not attack. Light does not argue. Light simply reveals. And revelation feels exactly like judgment to a person who has spent their life hiding. When you carry the Spirit of God, your very existence becomes a walking mirror. Your integrity highlights their compromise. Your peace magnifies their inner chaos. Your discipline exposes their rebellion. In the apocryphal Book of Wisdom, Wisdom 2:12-15, written centuries before Christ, the wicked plot against the righteous man, saying, Let us lie in wait for the righteous man, because he is inconvenient to us. He is a reproof to our thoughts, merely to see him as a burden to us, because his life is not like other men's. Look at King Saul and David. David was a boy who played the harp to soothe the king's madness. He killed the nation's greatest enemy. He served with absolute, unquestioning loyalty. And yet, Saul was consumed by a demonic, murderous jealousy and threw a spear at his head. Why? Because the Spirit of the Lord had departed from Saul and rested on David. David's light tormented Saul's shadow. When people attack you, when they gossip about you, or when they label you as too intense, too serious, or too holy, you must understand what is really happening in the unseen realm. They are not fighting you. They are fighting the conviction that your presence forces them to feel. You are not difficult. You are disruptive. And when the light enters, the shadows start screaming. Truth 2. God God separates you. Separates you. If the exposure of the light doesn't push them away, God himself will. And this is the burden that hurts the deepest. This is the wound that leaves the greatest scar. Modern religion shouts about the blessings. We sing songs about promotion and favor. But we weep in absolute silence over the cutting. Before God elevates you publicly, he isolates you privately. Before he puts a crown of authority on your head, he empties your inner circle. It feels deeply, agonizingly personal. The phone calls stop. The invitations dry up. The group chats go silent. People you swore would stand beside you at your wedding or carry your casket at your funeral suddenly vanish in a single, inexplicable season. And you lay on the floor and pray, God, what did I do wrong? Am I toxic? Am I the problem? No. The better question, the spiritual question, is, what is God preparing me for that they cannot survive? Not everyone assigned to your history is equipped for your destiny. In the ancient world, when a priest was consecrated, when he was anointed with the holy oil, he was sequestered. He was removed from the common areas, separated from the common people, and placed in the holy place for 7 days. Separation is the mandatory prerequisite for consecration. God sees the architecture of your future. He sees who will dilute your focus. He sees the friend who secretly competes with you. He sees the mentor who wants to control you. He sees who will act as an anchor when you are finally called to fly. Look at the story of Joseph. God gave him a divine vision of ruling. But the very brothers who shared his blood, who grew up in the exact same tent, could not handle the scale of his calling. They sold him into slavery. The palace required a radically different psychological and spiritual environment than the sheep field. Joseph could not save the nation of Egypt while still desperately seeking the approval of his jealous brothers. Loneliness is not a punishment. It is a spiritual incubator. It is the chrysalis of the soul. When the chaotic noise of human opinion fades away, the voice of God becomes unmistakable. You must stop begging God to resurrect dead relationships. Some doors closed because heaven slammed them shut to protect you. What feels like a devastating, heartbreaking loss today is actually a divine protection strategy for tomorrow. Truth 3. Your calling provokes irrational warfare. Once the divine separation is complete, the vacuum left behind is filled with something much louder. This is where the conflict stops being merely sociological and becomes explicitly, terrifyingly spiritual. You will begin to experience opposition that defies all human logic. You will be criticized by people you have never even met. You will be betrayed by those you have only ever poured your life into. Why? Because the anointing is not invisible in the spirit realm. Favor attracts envy. Authority attracts resistance. When the hand of God is upon you, doors open that should be locked tight. Grace covers mistakes that should legally ruin you. The world sees this, and the unseen realm sees this. In the book of Ephesians 6:12, the Apostle Paul pulls back the veil on the true matrix of reality. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world. When you carry the anointing, you are a walking disruption to the systems of darkness. You are a threat to the status quo of hell. Nobody wastes precious ammunition shooting at an empty, barren field. They shoot at high-value targets. If hell is reacting violently to your life, it is because heaven has invested heavily in your life. Truth 4. You love deeper than others can understand. Here is the great paradox of the crushing. You would logically think that after the betrayal, the isolation, and the relentless spiritual warfare, God would give you armor of iron. You would think he would make your heart hard, cold, and untouchable so you could survive. He doesn't. He does the exact opposite. He makes the anointed heart softer. This is why you are so chronically exhausted. You are not just tired from fighting demons. You are exhausted from loving humans. You forgive much faster than is logical. You give more than is safe. You look at the person who's currently attacking you, and instead of seeing an enemy, you see the broken, traumatized child inside of them. The world looks at this and calls it weakness. Heaven looks at this and calls it Christ-likeness. But here is the extreme danger of this burden. Givers attract takers. Light attracts moths. Healers attract the bleeding. Your life becomes a magnetic field for wounded people who need you, who drain you, and who sometimes manipulate and use you. And you sit in the aftermath wondering, why do I always end up loving people who cannot love me back? Because shallow hearts cannot map deep waters. The Apostle Paul wrote to the Corinthian church with a broken heart to core, 12:15. If I love you more, am I to be loved less? That is the tragic, beautiful anthem of the anointed. You love with the infinite capacity of the Spirit, but they love you back with the fragile limitations of the flesh. There will always be an imbalance. But hear this warning from the ancients. Love without boundaries is not martyrdom, it is self-destruction. Even Jesus walked away from the multitudes. Even Jesus slept in the boat during a storm. Even Jesus looked at people and said, no, you must learn to guard your oil. The enemy knows that if he cannot destroy you through direct attack, he'll try to exhaust you through overgiving. A burnt, depleted prophet cannot hear the voice of God. Truth 5. You carry a weight others refuse to lift. This brings us to the final, quietest, and heaviest burden of all. Responsibility. The modern, commercialized church has sold the anointing as a VIP pass to a life of influence, large stages, and endless applause. That is a catastrophic lie. The anointing is not a platform. It is a crushing, gravitational weight. It is waking up at 3 a.m. with a heaviness in your spirit for a city, a nation, or a family that you cannot logically explain. It is walking into a boardroom or a living room and instantly discerning the hidden grief, the masked deception, or the silent despair that everyone else is comfortably ignoring. You can no longer engage in shallow, trivial conversations. You can no longer laugh at what breaks the heart of God. Your spirit is violently awake, and once the spiritual eyes are opened, you cannot unsee the reality of the world. Some of you watching this feel decades older than your biological age. Not physically, but spiritually. Your soul feels ancient. While others your age are chasing fleeting trends, you are chasing eternity. While others are seeking comfortable lives, you feel the agonizing, relentless pull of divine purpose. Look at Moses, leading millions of complaining, rebellious, ungrateful people through a barren desert. At his absolute breaking point, he collapses and cries out too. God, Numbers 11:14. I cannot carry all these people by myself. The burden is too heavy for me. That is the true cry of the chosen, powerful, cold, anointed, and utterly overwhelmed. But in a word, this God does not place heavy oil on fragile, untested vessels. If he allowed this immense weight to rest on your life, it is because he engineered your spirit in the fires of eternity to carry it. But strength is inherently isolating. Not everyone has the lung capacity to breathe in the deep, dark waters where you are called to swim. Guides must walk ahead, and walking ahead means walking alone. So, let me speak directly to your soul as we close this chapter. Stop looking at your scars as signs of failure. Stop viewing your isolation as a curse. The tension you feel is not rejection from earth. It is recognition from heaven. The crushing you are enduring is not meant to destroy the olive. It is the only known method to extract the pure oil. You are not too intense. You are not too different. You are not too much. You are carrying something incredibly rare, something immensely heavy, and something absolutely terrifying to the kingdom of darkness. Every tear you cried in secret was preparation. Every betrayal that broke your heart was a necessary pruning. Every lonely night was an initiation into the mysteries of God. You were not being rejected. You were being anointed. Carry the weight with honor. Do not shrink back to make the world comfortable, for the crown is unimaginably heavy, but the King who gave it to you is holding you up.